Hi, welcome back, everybody. It is Three Boys on the Porch, and I'm Ozzy.
I'm Matt.
Cam, as always.
We are back here with a collection of interesting and possibly haunted slash cryptid tales from our camping adventures.
We've
That's
alluded to
right.
this kind of episode before many times.
Yeah, we've hinted at it, and yeah, we thought today would just be sort of an anthology of short stories to tell in the dark.
Oh, Lord.
Some of
Don't bring
them,
back memories.
yeah, some of them a bit more odd than the rest. Some of them just funny, and others possibly, like I mentioned, haunted. So you'll just have to stick around and find out. Cam, do you have anything to start us off with?
I do, in fact. This one, it's going to continue continue the trend of raunchy dad jokes because this is they're just the funniest. I don't know. It's better than why did the chicken cross the road? But so basically, I was in this bar and this guy walks in and orders 6 shots of tequila. The bartender asks, "That's a lot. What's the occasion?" The guy replies, "My first blowjob." The bartender says, "Well, in that case, the seventh one is free." The guy replies, "Buddy, if 6 doesn't get rid of the taste, then nothing will."
Oh
God.
no.
There was one instance of us camping. We all usually camp on Matt's land. His family has a pretty decent chunk that they're nice enough to let us camp on pretty frequently. And as you can imagine, hijinks ensue. There was one night in particular. I don't remember if we had a little bit to drink, but I remember that we made the classic mistake of not bringing any TP out to the woods with us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
By teepee, you mean the tent, right?
well,
Oh
that
no.
one, no, not the tent, not the tent. I mean, toilet paper. So we had to
Oh,
go out and find some of
nature's bounty.
nature's bounty, if you will, exactly. And like I had said, hijinks ensued because nobody quite knows. I mean, nobody listening will know the types of trees that are in that area, but there aren't a lot of big leaves to use. It's mainly lots of pine trees.
Mainly thorn bushes and poison
Uh,
oak.
Yeah,
God's worst creation, the sawbriar.
plenty of that.
We also were in the dark and
Oh
heard
yeah.
some skittering, so that always is fun. And then that same night, we were hammock camping, which is one of the most blessed ways to camp. If you've never done it, definitely suggest.
I'm used to like not sleeping with my clothes on, other than underwear. So I wasn't butt ass naked. But I'm comfortable sleeping with nothing but my underwear on. My backside was kind of toasty because the fire was like kind of close to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just a dinner bell for mosquitoes. And when we woke up the next morning, my entire back was just lit up, bite upon bite.
Yeah, it wasn't like he had, five or six like big bites. It was like there was no square inch that did not have a bump on it.
It's like he had been getting torn up all night.
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't feel it at all until you said, "Oh my God."
Yeah, he sat up in the hammock and we're all just like, hey, he turns around and it's like it looks like we're looking at a leprosy victim.
Or like somebody like a braille book is what his back looked like.
I was more concerned about how you didn't wake up like throughout the night just feeling like armies sucking your blood.
Yeah, I don't
Man-eating
know.
mosquitoes. I don't know how you made it out of that without getting some type of disease from those
Mm-hmm.
things.
Anaphylactic shock at least.
Mm-hmm. And they were going through the hammock too. Like they were getting
Yeah,
through the fabric of the nylon hammock or something. So it was they were determined.
yeah, they were hungry. I don't know if clothes would have saved me or not, to be honest.
Weird because I was also wearing clothes and I think Kim didn't take off his shirt, so we were both just wearing regular clothes and I didn't get a single bite.
Yeah, it was pretty chilly that night, but I remember taking off my jacket, but I didn't take off anything else, and we were just fine. I don't know why they just beeline for you. Maybe you got that sweet blood or something.
Yeah, it was interesting for sure. But that wasn't super cryptid, just interesting. What
Just
would you say
painful.
comes next?
Uh,
I'd say probably some of the happenstance in the pond.
Oh yeah.
yeah, we have a decent sized pond on our land as well, and just full of catfish and bass and little panfish. And there's just one stump in that pond that is claimed over, I would say 500 of my lures alone. That is no exaggeration. And every single time somebody comes out, they lose one of their lures.
Yep.
It's tradition at this point,
Yep.
to be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty disturbing because like you need the stump there for the fish to want to go hang out, but at the same time you don't want the stump there because it's gonna screw you over and steal some lures.
Yep.
I think that's something I just realized about a lot of our fishing spots is a lot of them have like a big tree and or stump in the very middle of where we're casting. Like we
Yeah,
don't like we'll cast over it or right beside it and guaranteed we'll lose 3 or 4 every trip. Maybe it's just because we're mediocre anglers, but I don't know.
I'd say that could
Seems a
be
bit
part of it.
cursed.
No,
Maybe.
surely not.
I mean, you gotta have some structure there, but there's people who like make like concrete structures that are supposedly hook proof, but fish still like them. I don't know if I
Yeah.
buy it. I think the fish know that it like snags your hooks, and so they go there, and then they just get you to piss off because you get so mad you lost your fourth like, bait today.
I don't know. Fish will also be dumb enough to bite that bait, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
But there are other things in the pond that may snag that also may be living.
The pond monster.
The pond monster.
Yeah,
We
this
have
one.
dealt with it over the years.
Unconfirmed the identity of this beast, but it has also claimed many a lure over the years. It'll just take it, and then your drag will just, your line just comes racing out of your pole, and there's like nothing you can do,
Yeah.
and then it stops, and then you start pulling on it, and eventually you snap the line, and you can never get anything on it.
First, we thought it was just the stump that we were talking about just a few minutes ago.
Well, but it takes your line. That's the thing is it'll pull it out. Like it's as hard as a stump to move. Like it won't budge hardly at all. It's got to be
There's something living down there.
something big, something heavy.
My theory is just a very Goliath snapping turtle.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I think snapping turtles like they're kind of like lobsters where they won't live forever, but they'll go basically as long as they can. So
Speaking of snapping turtles, though,
The continuing genocide of the snapping turtles in our pond.
yeah,
if there's anybody that's listening currently that is at all associated with
PETA.
PETA or any of those kind of animal rights associations, what are you doing listening to this podcast, for one? But following up that, you probably don't want to listen to this next part, considering it has to do with animal genocide. I mean, that is if you consider snapping turtles living beings with souls, which we do not.
That's what I was gonna say. Is I don't think a snapping turtle qualifies as like a protected animal. It's more just
Yeah. The only reason we do kill them is because we have like my little cousins come out here sometimes, and then I don't want somebody to get bit. And they're also just pests because they just keep breeding
well,
and
they
fucking
eat,
up.
they eat the fish too. It destabilizes. Like I know
Yeah, and
they're
then
kind of natural to the region. I don't know if they have always been, but they definitely can like overbreed.
yeah, and it's not like the giant snapping turtles. They're smaller. I don't even know what they're called, but they're really aggressive.
It's not an alligator snapping turtle
No, I don't even know what they're called
because
because you have alligator snapping turtles, and then
the alligator
there's an
one is a like protected, threatened species in the state. So you're not supposed to kill those. But that's not what these are. These are like the
No.
common snapping turtle.
yeah, and they're just a pain in
They're
the
dick.
ass.
Yeah, they're dicks for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see.
They
Yeah,
also
it's called
they also
common.
tear.
It's called common snapping turtle and alligator snapping turtle.
Okay. Yeah.
They're also dicks to the turtles that you actually want in the pond, the little red ears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the little sliders.
Mm-hmm.
That and then they eat like if you try to stock a pond with like a new breed or like more of a fish, they'll just eat the baby fish. Like, and you'd rather the bass or something else like eat it than and get bigger than
Yeah.
that.
I think that pretty much sums up the pond and our property.
Yeah, pretty much. I think.
Well, I mean,
so yeah.
if you don't include the helicopter,
Ooh, that
well,
is
yeah.
true.
We're moving up, yes.
Yeah.
So I've got a storyboard here, essentially.
oh yeah, lay it on us.
We're having a little camp sesh out here. Went to the store, grabbed some, what was it? What did we got like shrimp or something to catch some catfish, I think.
Yeah, we got I think we're going for the with the or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, how you can't say that. That's secret. That's proprietary, okay?
This is true.
Yeah, patent pending. Patent pending.
We get back from the store, we have all our stuff, and we're coming down our county road. And down the road, we can see it's like two ambulances.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, okay, that's weird. I'm kind of concerned because we have family, or I have family on the road at least.
Mm-hmm.
And we get all our stuff out of the car. We get on our 4x4. We go down our property to get kind of close to that part of the road. And it was kind of weird because there was no cars in the road. There was
Mm-hmm.
just an ambulance and like a fire truck blocking it off. So we're like, okay, what's the deal? And we just kind of wait around for a few minutes, and off in the horizon, here comes this helicopter.
Yeah, it was as if, waiting for a Vietnam pickup. You can hear the chopper blades in the distance as they get louder, and we got to say that this is like a county road out in the middle of the country, so there's no like city around. So the ambulance and the fire truck are from out of the area coming in.
Yeah, there's hardly any planes that fly over our area.
Yeah, at least not that low. They're cruising altitude, nothing super low.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the blades start humming in the distance, and it's kind of rocking and rolling in. And my first thought is like, oh, it's a medical helicopter. But then I was like, maybe not. And it kept getting closer and closer, and I'm like, well, you know what? I think that is. They might be coming here, and I kind of saw it as a meme at first.
Yeah, and then it started circling the property looking for a place to land.
Yeah, it started, doing some big loops overhead and yeah, big old circles, and we're starting to get a little concerned. Like, are they about to land in the field that we're sitting in? Possibly. It's big and open and flat. Because I don't personally know what's on the other side of the road. I didn't know it was also a field, so I was like, if they're gonna have to land somewhere, I mean, shoot, we this is a pretty decent spot.
Oh, we'll get to the other side of the road in a minute.
Oh yeah, that's
But
the concerning part.
yeah, that was the quote unquote cryptid part of it. Anyway, this helicopter finally picks its landing point, and it sets down right between these two trees, the setting sun in the background.
Hmm.
And it's very just it looks like it's out of a movie.
Yeah,
And we're sitting
picturesque.
like 100, maybe 200 feet away from it.
Yep. Yeah, it was like the poster for like Apocalypse Now theatrical release or some crap. Like
Yeah.
the blades didn't stop spinning the whole time it was there, so you had like the chug 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 of the wings and ambulance and fire truck lights and like people wandering like running around like a true sort of chaos triage situation.
Yeah, we waited for the helicopter to get out of there and people to kind of clear off, and we went in to investigate, and it turned out somebody just had an accident on a four-wheeler or something like that.
Yeah, they apparently two people like were riding a four wheeler and they hit each other or something, or one was driving a 4x4 and they hit like head on. And they like broke their neck or something.
Yeah,
Which I mean, I
but
get that makes sense for a medical helicopter necessity, I suppose. Broken neck out in the middle of nowhere.
what didn't make sense was the 20 cars parked out in the pasture and no sign of people.
Yeah, yeah. There was no one. So we hear that there's this wreck, and it's like, oh, there must have been some people out doing some stupid stuff. We look in the field where they were, and yeah, like you said, there's no people, but there's 20, maybe 25 cars just kind of scatter parked around this field, which there's not even a house down there, so it's not like they could have been in like a house party. The house is way
Y-
far from that. And like,
And that house isn't even part of that property. That's somebody else. So there's like no house out there.
yeah, just a random open grassy field. And then as we're standing by the fence and like people who were parking out on the county road because they couldn't get in the gate because of the helicopter, they start like unloading stuff from their car and they start walking in and they're like dressed like they're going to a rave.
Yeah, this one lady was half naked, literally just wearing like a bra and underwear.
Yeah. And she had like a backpack and like hiking shoes on and just like
Y-
just started
Yeah,
walking. We're like, "Hey, what's going on?" She tells us somebody broke their neck, and then she's like, "All right, you guys have a good one," and just walks off and into the field, like
yep.
no explanation. And it's kind of on a hill, so can't really see from like where we're at because there's a hill crest to get over. But
very strange
It
and
was,
concerning.
yeah, it was really odd, and we were camping out there that night, so we were like, oh, maybe we'll just wait, and like when we hear like the party noises, we'll go kind of walk down there and investigate again.
No such noise.
Yeah, it was dead silent the whole night. Yet there was 30 cars and people dressed like they were going to a huge rave.
Yeah, you never been raving in a field before?
I mean, the pasture party's one thing, but you hear it from a mile away or two. And
True, it's true.
I'm thinking underground bunker or some sort.
Some Far Cry shit.
Where were they
Yeah,
at?
yeah, some John Rambo digging holes to dig holes, no explanation.
I mean, something was fishy. That's all I got to say.
Something is strange.
Yeah, that's like a strange happenstance, but it's not like cryptid like. I think y'all should move on to the yet another thing that I wasn't present for, but it was quite cryptid like.
We were off and heading up to Whiting Steer Campground in Oklahoma. And en route, we had experienced a little bit of clouds, but it wasn't too terribly concerning. The weather forecast looked like it was going to be maybe just a little drizzle. And we get up there, and this is out in the middle of nowhere, so there's no cell signal really. You can't really check the weather once you're there type thing. There's very little signal. There's some. We get out the car, pack up all our stuff, get on our hiking backpacks, like we're all ready to go, and we start heading off. The first place to camp is like maybe not even a quarter mile off the trailhead, and so it's like, oh, that's kind of lame. Let's go a little farther in. And we continue, and we come across Cucumber Creek. How would you describe the color?
Like a cucumber.
Yeah, I was thinking more like the milk from
Like the
from Star Wars.
Oh, it's like the inside of a cucumber, not the grain
Yeah,
on the outside.
yeah, that's it was like very white, sort of pastel, like blue green.
Yeah,
It
it's very
was
odd.
it didn't look dirty at all. It just looked milky, which is
Yeah.
concerning. Well, we get out there and it's like maybe 3/4 of a mile to half a mile in, and we find our little spot, which is really cool when it's like at the base of this like huge hill.
Yeah, we set up our tents. I think you had a little tarp system, and about that time it started to sprinkle a little bit. Wasn't too bad though. We were prepared for it.
Yeah, I got the fire going. I used some anti-rain fire techniques so that the fire would stay going during the rain. I was hoping it would just blow over. We, got everything packed out, and we were set for the evening. So while the fire was burning, we were like, hey, let's go kind of wander around. And of course,
And this is another incident where Josh is not present. Although he's present, but he's not
conscious.
experiencing.
Yeah, he was a bit tuckered out from the walk and the drive out there because it was a couple hours. So he takes a nap in the tent. So we head off up to the top of this big hill because again, where we're from, hills are not that large. I mean, a big hill is like ant hill compared to what we see elsewhere. So
Yeah.
it's big. It's got leaves over it. There's like these white rocks all like lining it. So it's very very unique. And we start making our way up the hill.
It's a bit slippery because of the rain and all the moss on it, but we eventually make our way all the way to the top.
Well, before we get to the top though, something happens.
Well, we're climbing along, and I place my hand on what seems to be a sturdy rock, but as I put my weight onto it, it collapses. And after assessing the situation, I could see that it was like a rock stacked on two other rocks, so it was forming sort of like a house.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, that's funny. It was like a gnome's house or something. And then I just, made a joke of it and kept climbing.
Yep.
And then we got to the top.
Yeah, that was our first instinct awoken of like, this was an interesting situation. But we do get to the top after destroying the poor gnome's house. At the
Or
top,
fairy.
Yeah, it could have
Up in
been
the air at this point.
a fey creature of some sort. Small fey creature,
Yes.
we'll say.
So yeah, we're at the top of this hill, but we're at a strange point where like we're at level with the clouds, so they're coming into us. We can see them.
Yeah,
It's
it was
quite strange.
It was like a wall of mist from, a video game or something, Silent Hill, where there's just this wall of mist coming into the top of the hill, and we just kind of let it hit us. Obviously, you can't really stop a cloud, and it just passes through us.
And the rain's it's on and off really, kind of hard, and then it kind of goes away and it comes back. And we're like, all right, we should probably go back down and check on Josh, make sure the fire's still going or whatever.
Yep.
And we start making our way down. and it's again really slippery. And I didn't really think about how steep the hill was until I don't know, a month after the fact.
Yeah.
But it was so steep that we were coming down like sliding in 15-foot intervals
Yeah.
each time.
It was so straight down that we were basically falling, and like the rocks were slowing us down like brakes.
Yeah. How far do you think we went? Like how far down was that total?
I mean, it had to have been like 200 plus feet.
Yeah.
Honestly, probably more.
Yeah, it was definitely more than that actually. Now that I think of it.
Yeah, because I think it was about 200 feet to where we got like to where we would stop sliding. There was like a bit of a ledge, and then probably another 150 to 250 of just like more drop off.
Yeah. But we just made it all the way down without getting hurt somehow.
Yeah, we were basically surfing the rocks down. Like our feet were sort of sinking into the rocks as we were stepping down, and they were like gliding down with us. Which on small pebbles on like mountains you see in like the Pacific Northwest, like it's fine. But these were like soft,
Boulders.
yeah, softball sized and bigger that we were just like sinking our feet into
Yep.
without any issue.
No twisted ankle, no
Never got caught on a
falls
root.
or anything. Nope.
Yeah, we glided our way down to the bottom of the mountain, and the rain started picking up a little bit, and so I think that
Yeah.
that was when we started to actually pull out our phones and like try to find some signal and check the weather update.
Imminent tornadoes.
It was a little scary. Yeah, we discovered that it was like a tornado warning, like evacuate the area, take cover now. And when you're three-quarters of a mile off the trailhead into foreign territory, I mean, you got two options: hunker down or get the hell out of there.
Yeah, and we hauled ass. We just threw everything in our bags. Didn't even like roll up the tents or anything. Just grabbed everything,
Yeah,
put it in a bag,
soaked.
and just left.
Soaked, muddy, disgusting. And I had like a nice ale in like a ceramic jug that we were gonna share, which we didn't have time for because we never made dinners. So I just popped the cap and we all take some swigs.
Yeah, we literally just we finished that bottle, didn't we?
We
On
did.
the way back.
Yeah, it was like the size of a wine bottle, and as we're going, we're just taking swigs and walking on the trail, getting soaked, and it was rough.
Didn't really even get a buzz off of that, which was
Mm-mm.
strange.
Yeah, it was like nothing, even though it was like a 9% like heavy. And then
That was weird.
we were coming back. We crossed like a flowing like Cucumber Creek was like starting to flow more, and we like jump
Yeah.
across it, slippery rocks. Nobody falls in. Like it was just
There's no, nothing to hold on to, so it's just these slippery rocks with like 5-foot gaps in between them that you have to jump. And
Yeah.
we just bounded across it, no problem. I was a little worried, but nobody slipped or anything.
yeah, especially with all of our heavy bags. I was definitely like, oh, okay, somebody's gonna get hurt, but no, not a single thing. And looking back, I really want to go to that spot because it was like a super like vibe at the bottom of that hill with just like
Oh yeah.
the creek nearby, and it was so cool. But
Yeah, we need to plan that. So yeah, we pack up our bags, we got back to the car and we're heading off, and it's getting kind of dark at this point,
hmm
and the storm's picking up, and we're going down this like really winding road, and we pass by this open field, and I look out and I'm like, huh, that's weird looking, and it's just like this set of buildings set way back up in there.
in a
And we
valley.
pass a sign. Yeah, and we pass a sign that says, "Do not pick up any hitchhikers that could be escaped convicts."
Yeah,
It's just like this ominous prison set back in the woods and like in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, it's in this mountain valley that's like peaceful with like this meadow in front of it off the road, and then it's just a huge warning sign. Very cursed.
And we keep going. You want to go ahead and talk about the other sign that we passed?
So it was by this point I think it was nighttime or just about completely black, and the rain was starting to pick up, and we were heading out of the state to the next closest big town so that we could get a hotel room that would accommodate us. And we flew by this sign that said "Rune stones ahead," with like runes on the sign, and I was like, "Hold up, what?" And it's nighttime. It's raining. I'm not gonna like stop and turn around. We were tired, wet, and exhausted. But I'm keeping it in the back of my mind. I'm like, okay, what was this place? Because we're gonna have to pass by here on the way out. And I think we passed like the town sign, and it's like Heavener, Oklahoma, home of the Vikings. And we're like,
Yep.
what? So they've got
What is this?
Vikings as their town mascot, and there's their runestone ahead. So after shenanigans ensued, we found the hotel. We get all get inside there looking like homeless people at the front desk. And
Sir, you need to put a mask on. Sure.
sure,
Okay.
can I just get my room now?
And we got the room. I think we went and kind of like hit up the town, didn't we?
Yeah, I think at that point we went and drove around and
First, we visited a Walmart and we're like, oh, let's get some cards so we can play poker at the hotel.
Mhm.
So we grabbed a couple of decks of cards and I think that was it. And
the poker
we get
set.
some snacks, some food, yeah. And we got a poker set too. And we get all that, we go back to the hotel. We're sitting down for dinner and playing some poker.
Yeah, this was my first game of like real poker since I've been like an adult. I've never played it since I was a little kid, so by this point I'm like learning the rules.
And we were all, on fire apparently that night. We were just all pulling like flushes and straights and
Yeah, I
you
thought
know.
I thought it was weird because it was my first time in a while, and it's like, damn, every hand I've had like face cards. We're like everybody's getting like, at least a pair of something, and if not more.
So yeah, we do about 10 hands of this. I'm like, all right, give me the box. This is not right. And it just says Pinnacle Deck in big bold letters. Which, if you don't know, it's just like 9 and above.
Yeah, the Pinnacle deck. We didn't read the box. It just says like bicycle, and then I thought Pinnacle was like, how bicycle cards have like themes. So I thought Pinnacle was like the theme of the deck. I didn't know that was like a card game.
And about that point, once we realized we were playing the game completely wrong, the tornado sirens begin to go off in the city.
Yeah. Yeah, the tornado followed us across state lines and chased us down to the city. May or may not have been revenge for destroying the Fey Hut. We undetermined.
Yep. And we can hear everybody running down from their rooms trying to get in the stairwell as if, that's going to save them.
Yeah, every room on the floor like emptied out, and they were sprinting into the stairs and like huddling up, calling like family, like we're gonna die.
Yeah, we're pretty used to tornadoes. I was a little stressed just because I was tired and like wired on caffeine.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah. I mean, I wasn't too worried about the tornado as much as I was worried about like the power going out in the hotel.
Yeah.
Which would have been an experience if it had.
Yeah.
But it all passes through. I don't even think any tornadoes actually touched down, thank goodness.
No, I don't think they did.
It was pretty sketchy. But we go to bed, wake up, we're all cleaned up, ready to go, head out back home. We're going to stop at this Heavener place because this doesn't make any sense.
What would a runestone be doing in Oklahoma, of all places?
Right, and we've kind of mentioned the runestone before in a previous episode. So if you've heard it, you kind of have an understanding. We pull up to the town, and there's just like one big mountain. It's like a train stop town. Like they like refuel trains there, like a gas station for trains. And so that's like all they got going for them. Otherwise, it's just like trailer houses and not a lot else there. Like a gas station, I think, with a casino in it. But there's one big like mountain off behind the tracks near like a little range for horses and cattle, and it says Runestone Park ahead. So like, okay, sure, we'll check it out. We start going to the gate, start heading up and up and up, and it just keeps going and going.
It was quite the climb.
Yeah, it was pretty vertical. It reminded me a little bit of like driving up to Pikes Peak in Colorado. Obviously not that big, but the verticality of it was like, man, my car is under stress here trying to get up the hill. But at the top, there's a little gift shop thing and like a ranger house for the park ranger to stay at. And there's like some billboard sign information deck things.
All of it's closed down because of the pandemic, and there's nobody working the gift shop. The place is kind of fallen apart, really, because there's nobody there to maintain. And we're like, oh, okay, I guess we'll just figure out where it's at.
Yeah, there's no like signs once you're there. It's just like, welcome to the Runestone Park. And there's like a cliff with trees in it, and then there's the hut, and then the hill keeps going up. So you just kind of have to figure it out on your own.
There's this little rock pathway. It's kind of nice, and it just snakes its way through the hill, going over little gorges and stuff. You follow that for, I don't know, it takes about 3 minutes to get to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a shack down there that we can see, and as soon as it comes into view, something strange happens.
Yeah, as we walk around the loop and start making our final ascent into the shack, which presumably has the runestone within it. It's protected by the shack.
This sound emanates from it.
It sounded like window pane being broken.
Minecraft.
It didn't necessarily sound real because it was so out of place. Like, who the hell's breaking glass on the top of this mountain in the middle of nowhere?
And we look around, we're like, what was that? What was that? And at the top of this shack, there's
Skylights, yeah.
and there's this bird sitting there that had presumably just flown out of the glass.
It was a raven or a large crow sitting atop the runestone hut.
It was just sitting there. It wasn't phased by us at all.
No, it
But
was just vibing, looking at us.
it seemed to want to make itself known.
Yeah, yeah. It definitely was like, hey, I'm here, by the way.
And as we approached, he kind of left, and we finally saw the runestone.
Yeah, we get down in there, and there's some more information boards. And within those, it just kind of explains the history of Gloam's Valley or Gnome's Valley, depending on how you translate the runestone.
Coincidence? I think not.
I agree. Yeah, inside it's a big flat rock, like a tombstone wedged into the dirt with some Elder Futhark carvings on it.
That was interesting. The other interesting part was the sign next to the cliff face that told a story of a dog that disappeared into the mountain one day where a cave once was. And after that, the cave disappeared forever. Take what you will from that.
There's all sorts of local folklore about people in like the 50s like going into that cave or at least trying to go near the cave, and it like part of the folklore is that the Vikings may have buried their treasure inside the cave, or maybe they went in there and died. Could be a portal to an underground society of Northmen. Who knows? But we weren't the only ones to it wasn't just Matt and I. That time it was, but after a year or however long it was, Cam was with us, and as we mentioned with the Tennessee trip, Cam did come out there, and he got to witness this too. So we have a third, witness here.
Oh yeah, I actually got to lay eyes upon it. I was very intrigued by the time y'all finished with the first telling of the story. I had to see it for myself, and it definitely lives up to the hype. It was discovered, and it's not like this is like something that like some jackhole just recently went and carved runes into. Like, this thing was discovered in the 40s.
Yeah, it may have been before that. Yeah, it's been around for a hot minute.
Mm-hmm. So like the basic lore of it, right, is that's where like some people believe that, or some like experts on the Northmen believe like that's where Leif Erikson and the first band of adventurers might have sailed and ended up and at God knows when.
Well, I think as the story goes, like they went from Vinland in Canada, and then they traveled the coast down to like the Mississippi, and then they took the Mississippi to the Arkansas River, and then they took the little baby streams that go from there up to that spot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've got a map and everything out there, so it seems like somebody's done their research, and the lady that did most of the original research with her husband, I think she's dead now, but it is a interesting spot. I think there's actually a TED Talk about the Evander runestone or something. I saw a video on it once. Well, the other thing is that we neglected to mention is that this isn't the only runestone found in the area.
That's true. There was actually two more there that they had on display.
Yeah, those two were copies of ones that were found in like around Oklahoma, around the area. So it's like, is it possible? I think so.
It's not that far-fetched, is it?
No, I mean, one single like band like out of Leif Erikson's crew, like they take one of the boats from the crew, go down there. I think it's entirely possible. Just normally in history, those guys don't get remembered, so this is just one of those rare instances where they do.
It's very funny to think Vikings in Oklahoma because like the majority of Oklahoma is just flat, barren wasteland.
Most of the state is very, I don't know, it gives off vibes that I don't like.
Yeah.
It feels like you're walking on like a Native American burial ground. I mean, I know
you are.
That's kind of what it is, but like the whole place, I just feel like something's off.
And I mean, Vikings do be just exploring to explore sometimes, though.
Yeah, and I mean, there's stories of like Spaniards doing similar things in South America, like going off and becoming like gods in uncontacted tribes, and then dying, and no one knows about them for 1,000 years or 500 years.
Very interesting, the history of that kind of thing too.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty esoteric. It's that sort of history. I think all of us kind of enjoy that sort of side of things, where not the mainstream. Like, did you know that Russian winter cold?
Yeah. Did you know that you're not supposed to invade Russia during the winter?
Kaiser shotgun moment.
This
Yeah,
isn't the only camping trip that we've had in Oklahoma though.
yeah. I think this was our first trip out of high school as as our own men.
Boys being boys.
Yeah. I'll let you describe most of it since you didn't get to partake in the previous tale.
Yeah, definitely. So we to Broken Bow, Oklahoma, one of the more famous, I mean, there's only like a handful of them. So the Indian reservations with the Choctaw Casino. So there is a camping spot that we ended up staying at that we had done a little research on because we wanted to go have a guys trip, as it would be our first little excursion out of high school, like we were saying. And that ended up being the place that we decided to go to. It was close enough to where it wasn't that far of a drive. We wouldn't have to spend too much money on gas. And the campsite itself was actually relatively cheap, I remember, to stay on.
It was like $14 a night, although there was no way to pay.
Well, we drove past like a ranger's outpost or something, but there was nobody there. So we just kind of drove to the campsite.
Yeah, we just kind of busted the gate, not literally, but just drove through.
And it's not like we didn't like wait for these guys. Like we waited like a good like maybe 10, 20 minutes. Like maybe they're on lunch, they'll come back, but there was nobody there the whole time we waited. So we were just like, all right, screw it. We're just going to go camp, I guess.
Yep.
So we go and we set up, and this place is, I mean, anybody listening ever gets the chance, definitely go and visit this place because it's quite picturesque as far as it looks like, at least where we were staying, because we were right up on the creek bed. We were in Beaver's Bend. Very, very nice. The campsite, it's got little plots where you could set up tents, like little squares that are meant to actually set up the tent. And there was nobody around us at all.
It was weird. It was like abandoned.
Yeah, it was just three guys just vibing in the camp zone. First thing we decided to do, because I mean we were going to spend the whole weekend out there. First thing we decided to do was strip, go into nature's bounty in the river that we were right next to, and swim from one side to the other, which was pretty fun. I almost died, but
by strip, he doesn't mean get naked, ladies and gentlemen.
Obviously not.
Well,
we just didn't bring swimming equipment.
Yeah, you just throw on the old basketball shorts and go for a swim. Beaver's Bend Lake, I guess. It was really big, but it wasn't too terribly chilly, or it was pretty comfortable.
Three boys heading up. This is three boys around the campfire before Three Boys on the Porch was conceived.
Oh, well before, yeah.
Well before, but our friend that went with us, Mr. Bulb, he is quite and I got a bit of Irish in me myself, but this man about one of the gingerest individuals you will ever meet.
Yep. Yeah, he's built like a puff pastry, if you know what I mean.
Multiple layers to the man. He decided, because me and Ozzy definitely wanted to go for the swim, enjoy nature's bounty, and he decided to perch up on Pride Rock that was right next to him, because there was lots of slates along the riverbed, and there was this one that he wanted to sit and bake on. And if you know anything about ginger individuals, they don't tan well. It's mainly just roasting alive.
It's like when you take a crawfish and you boil it. You know how bright red they get?
Might be akin to what he was looking like after. It wasn't even that long. It was probably like 20 minutes.
I was going to say, yeah. It was
45.
Probably about 15 minutes on each side. He gave himself the old flip, too. We were out there swimming, like just, shooting the shit, swimming back and forth, looking at cool rocks, as men do. And he was just up on this huge boulder just baking in like a reptile.
I don't know what he was thinking was going to happen, because he's pretty self-aware of how redheaded he is.
And
so
we should preface this with, of course, none of us put on sunscreen because we were in a rush to get in the water.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, men just don't use sunscreen in general.
That's true.
But
So
same vibes as if you need to lift something heavy, don't ask for help. Throw your back out. Be a man.
so we get done. We sort of pack up the swimming equipment, change back into some dry clothes, and we're hanging around the campfire. We go and grab some pizza. We bring it back to the campsite where we eat there. We bring some back, and we start smoking some cigars around the campfire.
First cigar of many. And this at this point, Bulb was getting a little uncomfortable because the 30 minutes this man was out there baking on the rock, if you've ever seen, I mean, like Ozzy was saying, the crawfish, but I mean, if you've ever seen the red on an American flag, it was pretty bad. He was burned
Oh,
quite. So
second
there were
degree,
there were
most likely.
yeah, definitely. He was swollen. He was not having a fun time, but I mean, I don't know if being sunburned is enough to justify the emotions that were being kindled by these two cigars. I had my first cigar ever. This was my first experience with any kind of adult substance.
Mm-hmm.
Tobacco being the substance in these cigars. I don't want anybody getting any ideas out there.
Oh yeah.
Peace pipe.
Yep.
Peace pipe, smoking the peace pipe, and our friend Bulb ended up he has a little bit of his parents' money at this point, so he spent a good portion on a big, thick Churchill style cigar, and then spent a little bit more money on an expensive cigar that we were all going to share. It was like a $60 or $70 cigar.
Yeah, it was stupid.
So me and Ozzy just bought just some cheapoid, not cheapoids, but some that weren't like
Yeah, it was like
obviously
10 or
sixty
15.
dollars. Yeah, we splurged a little bit because we wanted to enjoy it. I definitely wanted to enjoy my first experience smoking because I was a bit nervous. I was a bit of a sheltered kid growing up, so this is my first kind of my really only experience being amongst the men, the boys. I don't regret it one bit. It was super fun. Our friend Bulb might regret it a little bit because one of the first things he had said, because he smoked this cigar. When I tell you, this thing was about like 8 to 9 inches long, and he bit the hole as men do. You don't use cutters. He bit the hole about as big around as the cigar itself, and started just puffing this thing down.
Like fucking Donald Duck in a World War II Looney Tunes.
If you can imagine taking and he wasn't slowing down either. He was just drag after drag after drag until it was nothing but a stump. So he was probably having the tobacco high of his life
Yeah,
over there.
headaches plus nausea plus everything else that comes along with that.
And Mr. Bulb, also a bit of a sheltered individual. So I don't know if that had been his first cigar,
It
but
wasn't, but it was one of he has a, not to get too deep into his backstory, but he's not a fan of tobacco personally, but I think we kind of peer pressured him into it. I mean, he was of age, so it's not like we were doing anything illegal, but
this was back in the good old days when you can buy tobacco at 18 years old, which we were all 19 at the time, I believe.
yeah, yeah. He doesn't have a great relationship with the substance, so when he did it, I think he was feeling guilty inside, which is why he just chuffed it down and then tossed it.
You might even say he was feeling a bit of remorse and regret.
Those are
Me
the,
and me and yeah, those are the first two words. Me and Ozzy were kind of having a grand old time laughing, telling some jokes and some stories, and then Mr. Bulb is just kind of sitting over there sulking on the opposite log.
It's like
And
head down, staring at the cigar, like questioning his life decisions. Remorse, regret.
those are the two words that he told us, and we were just like, "Oh man, are you okay?"
Excuse me? Kind of a mood
Well,
dampener.
not only that, but a little bit before we have different friends in the friend group. It's not like it's just the three of us, and then we hung out with one of our past teachers who turned into our friend because he was still around our age, and one of the most cursed questions to this date that I've ever been asked. Him and he has a wife at this point. I should preface.
Yeah, wife
And
of like 3 or 4 years by that point.
yeah, they got married out of high school, and they're, I mean, to his, I mean, I don't want to just bash the man too hard, but they are not like outwardly social people, but his question was, "Hey, do you think blank and blank have ever, you know?" And we were like, me and Ozzy just look at each other like, what? Where could he be? Where could he possibly be going with this?
They have they done what, Mr. Bulb? What have they or have they not done?
You think they've ever fucked? And then I think we looked at each other at the exact same time after the words left his mouth, and it was just,
Bruh.
It was like a
What?
movie shot. Like you couldn't have.
like cue laugh track in that moment. We just look at each other and then start bursting out with laughter.
He was deadpan. Like he was not joking when he asked it. He wasn't trying to be funny because, like Cam said, they're not the most normal, quote unquote. But it's not like that.
They're a married couple.
It was just. Yeah, I think that was our response is, dude, they're married. He's like, yeah, but
Bruh.
he's kind of weird. I'm like, what are you talking about?
And it was so far out of context for the conversation that we were having. We were not even talking about him.
No, hell
friend.
no.
It was just...
Yeah, in terms of cursed questions being asked in my lifetime, considering the context and the situation that we were all in, I think that tops it.
Yeah, that definitely is in the top 3 for sure. It definitely is probably the most cursed question I've ever been asked. Mainly due to the fact that it was just not part of the conversation that me and you were having at all, and he was in the middle of his existential crisis with his
it's like
cigar high over there.
He had been pondering it for like 15 minutes, like thinking about how to ask this question.
Didn't turn out right.
Shortly after this, he starts getting like really uncomfortable with the sunburn, and he's like, "Guys, can we go to the Walmart and like get some aloe vera?" We're like, "Sure." Go to the Walmart, get some aloe vera. He puts it on. He's like, "It's not helping."
I was tripping over myself at this point too, because again, first experience with tobacco, I was feeling myself.
Yeah,
as the kids say.
We get back to the campsite. He lubes himself up. He's like, "I'm not feeling good, guys." He says, "Look, guys, we're gonna have to go home." It's like, okay, rewind that real quick. We're 3 to 4 hours away on the first afternoon of the trip, and you're saying we're going home tonight? No.
Because he was a little bit uncomfortable sitting in the tent, me and Ozzy just kind of cutting up again, and then he cuts into the middle of our conversation, which he's one of our good friends at this point. It's not like we just brought him along to bring him along, but it definitely, well, we were talking about, I think, Magic the Gathering or something at the time that we were into, but he's just like, "Guys, I don't know if I can do this. I think we might need to go home."
Yeah, just deadpan again, like 100% serious, not having any social awareness to what he just asked. And we're like, no. And so he calls his mom. It's like, "Hey, can you go pick me up? I got sunburn and this isn't going to work."
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass.
We said that he was sheltered, but her answer, I definitely would not have expected.
Yeah, she actually said, "No, you're going to have to stick it out. You'll be okay."
Yeah. He said basically what amounted to, "No, suck it up.
Yeah.
You're an adult."
Which, we were expecting her to drop everything and driving him, pick him up, but that's not what happened. He did tell us that he had gone camping before. After the fact, we found out that the camping in question is his yearly trip to Disney World. They go to, like, the outdoor cabin area, and they camp, quote unquote, in the cabins, like Adventure Lodge or whatever it's called. That was his idea of what he thought we were doing.
Like we were sleeping on the rocks. Like
Yeah.
Ozzy had like a little blow up mattress. I was just sleeping on top of my sleeping bag. Me and him were fine, especially because I was tobacco high off my gourd.
Yeah. And so he's like, "Well, I can't sleep in here in the tent, so what am I going to do?" So I give him the keys to my car, and he sleeps in like the back seat of the car. How? I don't even know what to say. Just the idiocy of the whole situation. And then, to make a long story short, we don't want to go home the next night because we still want to do other stuff. So he pays for a hotel room the second night, and we go and we stay in a hotel like 20 minutes away. That he pays for the whole thing, and like Cam and I go off and like have fun, do our thing around town. And
He just does not want to go with us. We
he's
were like, "Hey, you should come." Like, we went to the subway. We went to walk to the subway, and he's like, "Nah, I think I'll order a pizza." Like those kind of
hmm
things. Like he just would not do anything with us after that
we
moment.
drove to like the nearest major town, and he didn't want to come. He just sat in the hotel room the whole time. It was so strange. But yeah, I mean that about wraps it up for that. But
Yep, definitely.
there is one more interesting camping trip that Matt and Josh and I went to.
All right, so it's like Watchtower, right?
Yep,
I think it was, and it's like late. Was it early or late fall?
I think we went during like fall break, so it was sort of right there in November.
Okay, and we got our little campsite. We get out there. It's very pretty. It's like our campground is on a peninsula, and there's this massive lake, and it's just beautiful all around. And we do the standard camping things. And first night, it's a little strange because we start cooking our food. We get a little fire going, and we notice something about the fire is it's not very hot. The food takes about an hour to cook,
Mm-hmm.
so there's like no heat being put off, which was the weirdest thing. But we didn't really think about it. We didn't think about it. And the next morning, the same thing with our eggs. It took like an hour to cook eggs.
Well, what was weird is we used like briquettes, coal briquettes, because the firewood just wasn't getting hot enough. We let those get into coals. The bacon never got hot enough to actually cook. It just boiled basically. It never got hot enough to fry. And we were sitting there and stirring in like the eggs. They never like turned scrambled hardly. It just took forever and ever and ever. And it was like, what the hell is going on?
And later that day, we decided we want to go kayaking on this lake. And well, we get our kayaks, and we're going out. And well, the thing about the kayaks is that we got them, and the guy was like, "You'll have to bring these back in like 30 minutes because we're closing up."
Yes, that's true. I forgot about that.
And I'm like, all right, whatever. And we go up to like this kind of remote area of the lake. Nobody else is over there. And we kind of, park the kayaks and get off. And we follow this creek that runs into the lake. And we follow it up for how far do you think that went up?
Maybe like 300, 400 feet.
And we come back, we got all that out of us. And we go back to the campsite. And I'm like, you know what? I think I want to go for a swim.
Mm-hmm. We
And
worked up a bit of a sweat.
yeah. And I was like, yeah, okay, I had brought my swimming trunks, I think, because
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it's a beautiful lake. And like, I got ankle deep in the water and my entire body was cold.
Yeah, I also tried to get in there, and yeah, it was like 1 foot in, like a single foot in the water, and yeah, it was chills down my spine. It was icy cold, and it wasn't even that cold out. That was the weird thing.
Yeah, no, it was really pleasant. I got up to maybe about my knees and I just could not take it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was so strange, and the other strange thing is not only is the lake like really cold, but there's like a unique type of life in the lake. The
Oh
freshwater,
yeah, the jellyfish.
yeah, freshwater jellyfish.
They don't sting, but it's just very strange.
Yeah, like why would there be a jellyfish in a single lake? It's not like these are a common thing like found in other lakes. It's kind of unique to the area.
But they tend to stay in the deep part of the lake, so we didn't see any, unfortunately.
Yeah, we couldn't capture any of those cryptids on camera.
And the last day of that camping trip, we woke up and the wind was so bad. Like by the
Oh my
time we got
god.
out of it, it was being pulled over
Oh
and
my.
just like pulled apart.
Yes, it was crazy. Like we got out of the tent and like we were trying to pack the tent up and like it was doing the meme where like you try to roll it and it just starts like flapping away or like creates a huge
Yep.
sail. All these other people's tents and like canopies were just being blown about and like chairs were being flipped over.
Yeah,
It was
it was so cold. Like
yeah,
I had to sit behind the tent with my wool blanket and my wool shirt and like all my thermal gear on, and the wind was still cutting through it, even
yeah.
though I was completely blocked by it.
That it was so strange because the fire never got hot. The water was icy cold and the wind was ripping through like any sort of wind blocking fabric or any heated fabric. Like
Yep.
something about that area was definitely off. The first day we were there, we went on a little hike and it was like hot enough to where we were in like t-shirts and shorts. Like it was sweaty.
Yeah.
And then just as the trip went on, it's not even like a cold front was coming in because that wouldn't have changed the water temperature that fast from like reasonable to icy.
Yeah.
And obviously that wouldn't have changed the fact that the coals didn't get hot. Like, the coals were hot enough to, I was moving around with my finger. Like, they were white, but I was able
Yeah.
to move them around.
Yeah, you were just touching them.
Yeah, and they were white hot, like burnt down briquettes. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. So an interesting thing is that there's another town like what 20, 30 miles north of there or east of there. I can't remember. It's just called Hot Springs. I had
Oh,
this
Hot
prevailing.
I've been
I had
I've
this.
been to Hot Springs before.
I have this theory about these dueling giants, one an ice giant and one a fire giant. This is something we've talked about before.
You've got the ice giant in Lake Ouachita keeping it icy cold, sucking the heat out of coals and making the wind defy physics and thermodynamics. All the while, the hot springs are, like any hot spring, producing 100-degree water out of the earth.
Were you guys in Oklahoma or Arkansas?
Arkansas. The town of Hot Springs is actually kind of interesting. Did we go into the town? I think.
Yeah.
We went to like that mountaintop like drive thing.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
I've been up there.
That tower
I
was
actually
pretty
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My dad actually did you guys go into like the main town where they have all those like bubbling brooks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad had like some ankle pain at the time, so he's like, "Oh, I'll just stick my foot in one of these things." And burnt the ever-loving shit out of his foot. It's like akin to sticking it into. It's not like you're sticking it into a hot bubble bath or anything like that. Like this is several tens of degrees above boiling.
Yeah.
Boiling temperature is like 150, isn't it?
I'm not a boilologist. It's fucking hot though.
100 degrees Celsius, 212 Fahrenheit.
So that's boiling?
Bro.
Have I?
You heard it here first, folks.
Edit this part out. Edit this part out.
I agree, though. It is hot as hell, as Matt said. I was hoping you were going to say it like healed his ankle instantly or something.
No, that would be fucking.
I was like, oh yeah, some
but...
of the like ether from the fire giant got in there and healed his foot.
Well, I mean, he said his like ankle did feel better after that, but
once the burn went away.
Yeah, it burned the fuck out of his foot to the point where he was like hobbling the rest of our trip up there.
It just fucking killed his nerve endings.
Yeah, he just didn't feel anything from that day forward.
Oh man.
All right, everybody. I think that's going to do it for this podcast. We appreciate everybody listening as always. We've been into how I'm not very good with spice, so our next plan is to attempt the one chip challenge.
Oh yeah.
But in a very interesting way. So definitely stay tuned for that episode coming at you next week. For right now, I think that about wraps it up for this podcast.
Yeah, I would say so.
Peace out. Podcast out.
Yep, adios,
Good
folks.
show.